We're here back on my learning block. Thank you for joining me. Today we're delving into the world of geometry a little bit. Still having some little algebraic expressions still going on. It is area, surface area. What is it? Before I get too far, let me let you know that today we're focusing on quadrilaterals. So those are the polygons with 4 sides and 4 angles, all right? But surface area can be used for many things, but today we're just focusing on quadrilaterals. So back to what we're talking about. Now, surface area, what is it? Why does your child need to know it? Well, there are many reasons. I'll give you a very practical one in just a moment. But surface area, for the most part, when you hear your child talking about it, or just area in some sense, we use that because it shows the amount of space that takes up an object, the surface of an object. And normally we measure it in squares. So when you see someone measure with regards of area, they normally say something squared, right? Because that's how many squares can take up an object. If you look at the shape I have right here, let me get my pen. I have a rectangle and a rhombus, and both shapes have a number of squares within them, thus telling the surface area. In this one we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. And in this one we have 1, 2, 3, 4. So this rectangle, the surface area would be 8 square units, whatever the squares measure, and the rhombus would be 4 square units. Rhombuses are a little different because of the angles, but it still takes up 4 square units. When you're working with your child on this, you want to make sure that they understand that when you're focusing on area, you're focusing on what's within, on the inside of an object. So every kid in America and beyond will ask the question, why do I need to know this stuff? And if you can give your child the understanding of why, then everything else comes into perspective. All right, so why do they need to know about surface area? How about presents? Yes. Surface area deals with, if you are going to wrap a present, you need to understand surface area or you will waste a whole lot of money. I say that because like when I first started wrapping presents, for my daughter and for different people, my mom and different people like that, I would take this big piece of wrapping paper and I'd cut it, and I'd feel so great because some of them had the lines that kind of help you mark it out, and I'd cut it and then I'd start wrapping the present, and then I'd wrap this little small present with all this paper, and then I had all this excess paper and I had to cut it and throw it in the trash, and I don't like using excess paper. And so if I realized my understanding of surface area, then it would have been a lot easier because I could have just simply measured out and said, hey, I'm gonna need this much for this area and this much for this area, and then put it all together and you're great. So surface area helps a lot when it comes to wrapping things. It also helps when you're designing, let's say you're trying to find out what you're gonna put in a room. If you have a room so big and you have things so small, then you can put more small things in the big room, right? Or if you want to, like me, put a king size bed in your bedroom, but your bedroom is but so large with regards of area and space, you can't do it. So surface area is very beneficial. Make sure your child understands that they can actually use this stuff. Give them opportunities to say, hey, what do you think the area is in here? How much stuff do you think we can fit in this one room? And different things like that. And they'll really start to kind of appreciate their understanding of surface area. Now, how do we measure surface area? Like I said before, surface area is about the square units that are within an object. But there are quick ways that your child probably already knows that can help them with this process. One being multiplication arrays, right? We've used arrays. You've worked with your child with arrays. They've learned arrays. You remember arrays, those are the things where they where it's like if you have 3 times 2, they do 3 rows and 2 columns, and then they add up the dots and they find out that is 6, right? Remember those arrays? Well, these are rectangular arrays. Yay! It works. for area. Now, let me show you how to show your child how. So, right here it says surface area is found when you multiply the length of an object times the width of an object. Yes, they have to be touching sides. It's not just like one side and the opposite side. They have to be touching, adjacent. I think that's the word. It probably is. But anyway, they have to be the length times the width. You take those two sides, multiply them together, and you have your area. That's how many square units are inside. Now, how does that really work? Well, let me show you. Right here, if we look at the length and we count these boxes, these squares, we have 1, 2, 3, 4. So the length is 4 square units, right? Very easy. You know that. I know that. We can see it. All right, now let's look at the width. 1, 2, 2 square units. Put in square units. And we understand that part. Now, if you were to add up all these units together, you have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. We know that. We can count it. But sometimes those squares aren't there. So you can take your 4 square units. 4 square units times your 2 square units, because 4 by 2, and again it equals 8 square units, abbreviate units. All right, so now you have an understanding, or your child has an understanding of how to do this pretty quickly. And again, if you need to go back and work with your child on multiplication, that's perfectly fine. There's no harm in helping helping your child understand. So now we have a couple examples. Now, this is something your child may see. They may see a rectangle with 7 centimeters by 4 centimeters. All right, so what they're seeing basically is that up here there are 7. I'll try to do this as best possible. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and 7. I know my squares aren't even, but if they were, there's 7 there, and then there would be 4 here. So 4 is a little bit easier. And again, I messed up with the original. 1, 2, 3, 4. So it's a 4 by 7. And if they need to early on, allow them the opportunity to draw those squares. 4 squares, 7 squares, draw that array to kind of help them out. And then they'll kind of start getting the hang of it. So 7 centimeters times 4, 7 times 4, 7 by 4, I know the 7s, 28. So the area will be 28 square centimeters. Or you can do centimeters squared. Either way it works, okay? Now, I have 2 other shapes, and there's something similar about these shapes. One is a rhombus, this one. And if you haven't checked out the quadrilateral video, go check it out. It helps you out kind of identifying some of these quadrilaterals, so you can help your child out with these. Well, I have a rhombus and I have a square. And the difference or the similarities between the two is a square and a rhombus both have sides that equal the exact same. So they have 4 sides that are the same. So in this case, to find the area, if I only had one side on a square, I'd understand that all sides are the same. So I just multiply it by another side that was the same, which 11 times 11, don't get me wrong, 121 square. And then make sure you don't forget your units. 121 square meters. And then a rhombus, like I said, the sides are the exact same. Angles are not, but the sides are the exact same. 6 times 6 gives me 36 square kilometers. All right, so that is finding surface area. I hope it helped you. Go find some resources now. Just click over, find some resources, work with your child on it. They'll be a pro, and before you know it, they will be measuring every single thing in your house. All right, just to find the area. All right, well, thank you again for joining me on my learning block. I look forward to seeing you next time. Bye-bye.